Hi, I'm Chantel Sophia. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Get your views in. Let us know what you think of the episode. And make sure to keep following Beam.
Yes, people, welcome to another episode of Beam. I'm your host, JR, and I'm here with another special guest, an influencer and fellow podcaster, Chantel Sophia. How you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming through, man. It's a cold, rainy day, and you
It
still
is.
made it, so thank you. Really
Yeah, it's
appreciate it.
important.
Let's get into it. At Beam, we like to start off by just getting to know people. So, what was life like for you growing up?
Um, I kind of came from dysfunction, to be honest. I had a lot of being in the foster care system. I think I went to about 5, 6 homes before I was even 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't stable, but at the same time, I don't remember ever being sad. I just remember a lot of change. It was quite unstable, but that's how it was for me growing up. I don't think I ever remember ever feeling normal.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, because it's interesting, because I was watching one of your episodes, the Insights. We'll talk about that later. But you mentioned that you was quite rebellious,
Yeah.
and you had a lot of anger when you was growing up. Do you think that contributed to just the environment that you was growing up in?
100%. Do you know what? When I think about anger, I don't know if that's the word. It's more so I was rebellious because I just came from dysfunction. I was trying to find a way to express myself. I wanted to be heard. I wanted attention. And I'm a mischievous person. Even now, it's gone up to my adult years, but I've always been quite a mischievous kid. So, yeah, that's just my way of expressing myself. But, yeah, it definitely came from the lack of stability and structure as a youth.
So, fast forwards, and the decision to have a BBL.
Right.
Now, you was 19, which
Yeah.
still a teenager. So, talk to me about what your mindset was at that time, where you felt this would be a good decision. Like, where was you in your life?
I was in university. I just dropped out of a previous university. I was trying to find my feet, not only with education, excuse me, not only with education, but with myself, trying to figure out who I was. And I had an insecurity issue, and it just got more and more as I progressed to about 18, 19. So anything was a good idea for me. I wouldn't say BBL was something I was so passionate about. It was just like a change I was looking for. This could have been in anything. I remember I used to ruthlessly dye my hair, wear 50 pounds of makeup. I was one of those. It was just me going through the phases of just being someone that just wanted to find themselves. So I was very much ready to try something new.
Yeah.
My best friend came to me and she suggested it to me, and we were just yeah, let's do it. This sounds good. She was more into it than me. She's already had filler by that time. And I was like, okay, yeah, why not? Something new, yay. That was kind of my mindset at that time.
Yeah. And we're not going to talk about your age, but at that time, BBLs wasn't as popular.
Right.
I would say there was probably more breast implants was probably the go-to surgery in terms of what people were doing. So apart from your friend sort of coming to you and influence you, what else influenced you to go down that route?
Social media. What I could see, the people that I liked, the people I admired. I've always been someone that appreciated beauty, appreciated a beautiful woman or someone that was just flaunting themselves online and they look good to me. Video girls, and that new age of video girls were kind of creeping in around that time. It was it was no longer the 90s slim, cute face. That wasn't enough. It was kind of big bum, big boobs, something that's stands out. So yeah, that was kind of what influenced me more so in the media.
And I know people watching this, and it's probably a question that you've had previously, how could you afford it?
I get this question all the time. Do you know, I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories. I was an escort,
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. I was an escort, it was student loan, I was selling myself in the street corner. No, I had a very great foster carer that brought me up, who saved all the money that she ever got for me, put it in an account, and when I left hers, it was mine.
Wow.
So I had a lot of money to like waste, and I was just thinking, okay, I have this. Why not? I didn't really have nowhere to put it. Yeah. Student loan was paying me. I was doing what I needed to do with that. So I thought, why not? Yeah. So that's how I paid for it. It was savings.
No, makes sense. And I'm glad you dispelled those rumors.
Right. You know thank God I'm not an escort.
But a lot of people don't know, right? Because like, and I want to talk numbers, and you don't have to go into detail about yours, but like, how much does a good procedure cost? Because you get varying sort of figures getting thrown out there.
Right.
And actually, it really depends on sometimes country, sometimes doctor. But what would you say is a good amount of money to spend on that specific surgery?
Okay, well, I done mine in London, which was a bit more safe at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't a Turkey girl.
I was gonna, we need to talk about that, right? Because a lot of this trend is Turkey.
Yes.
But yeah, sorry, I'll cut you off.
Turkey is cheaper. That's why a lot of people go to Turkey. It's like 3K. For me, my friend that was like researching it, she was like, no, we're going to do it in London. It's more safer here. And I feel like maybe we can get like a more natural sort of look. That was around, if I'm right, I think 8K.
Okay.
Altogether. Yeah, it was 8K altogether, including like the massages and stuff after that I needed to buy. But yeah, 8K. But that's like a good procedure. If you kind of want a shortcut, you'll go like the 2K route. I know people that got it for like 1.5. Yeah.
It's risky.
Risky as hell if you think about it.
It's risky. But talking of research, right? Because as you said, you're a mischievous person. I'm sure you've done hella research. What type of research were you doing? Like, how did you even start? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, where did you?
Honestly, I'd done no research.
Really?
I done zero research. Do you know what's crazy? I had a best friend before this best friend that first said BBL to me. I was 18, I was fresh 18. She was like, have you seen this new thing? This was so new, no one knew about it. She was showing me it and she was just like, this is like girls can do their body and whatever and blah, 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 blah. And she was researching into it. So every friend that I've had was like researching into it the same way with this one. So when she introduced it to me again, she was like, no, don't worry about it. Just put your money forward. I'm going to do all the research. And I just put my life in her hands. Really? That was it.
You're a good person.
Yeah, I mean.
You're a good person.
Yeah.
And wow, that's amazing. So, like, because I was going to bring up, right, like, obviously, it's one of the highest, most riskiest cosmetic surgery procedures in the world. Probably the death rate's probably the highest. And I was like, didn't that scare you? Like, wasn't you, like, you must have seen some things floating around did that not scare you at the time?
Because it was new at the time, I don't think there was enough coverage on it for it to be brought to my attention that it was that. It was actually years after I'd done my BBL, I found out it was the most dangerous surgery in the world. So no, at that time I didn't know.
Right.
That wasn't even a thing.
Okay, fair enough. So talk me through the process, right? Like, you decide you're going to get a BBL, like, you go to the doctor and they sort of like, look at you and think, yeah, you can or you can't. Like, what's the process of going through that?
So the process would be, you find a doctor, you go to a consultation. Depending on the doctor, you pay for the consultation or whatever, you put a deposit down. You go, you tell him what you're after. He'll tell you, okay, well, take off your clothes. Let me see if you are eligible for that. He'll review your body, maybe say a few things to you. Oh, have you had a baby? Oh, yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about the role of the doctor in a second, but yeah, gonna carry on.
Say a couple things and then be like, okay, well, I think you have enough, or I think you need to put on weight. Either or. You tell him the type of look you desire. And then he'll be like, okay, well, I can or can't do this. And then it will be the process of seeing you again for tests. You book a date, you put deposit down. Then when it gets nearer to the time, you put it all down. And then that's it. You're prepared for surgery. You go in on a day, that's it.
Right. Now, the actual surgery itself, because I've heard different things. I've heard they pull fat from different parts of your body, then inject it to where it needs to be injected. We've heard some horror stories where people are getting injected with silicone and like sometimes even cement. Like, what is the actual procedure? Like, what do they do?
So the procedure is they would be liposuctioning your fat from a certain area. So say your inner thigh, they liposuction that. And then once they've got I'm guessing the adequate amount of fat, they go in on your buttocks with like, I don't know what they would call it, something beginning with an S, and they'll be putting it into a certain pocket. That's why it's so dangerous, because your major artery is in your bum.
Right.
So a lot of doctors, they don't do the X-ray thing when they're going in. They're just going in with like a blunt sort of thing, a spatula or whatever they will call it, and then just pumping it in. So usually the death would be like, they would puncture that and put the fat in, it goes straight to your heart, and then you're just, that's it, straight dead. But yeah, that's how they would do it.
Wow. And so you've had the surgery, recovery. And I'm always talking about recovery because, speaking of Turkey, as we've mentioned, you know, you see the little clips of like everyone just like on the all fours on the plane seats, coming back because they can't sit down.
Yeah.
What is the recovery like? What do you have to do?
Oh God. The recovery would just consist of you lying down on your front for 2 weeks. Yep.
For 2 weeks?
Yeah, and I just wouldn't suggest anything other than that, because you can't do anything other than that. It's like, I just remember sleeping for 2 weeks because there's nothing you can do. It's either you're on your stomach or you're standing up, and no one wants to stand up in those sort of times. So yeah, that's what it consists of. You can't sit for weeks.
And then did you have to wear, like, I've seen like certain women wearing like a sort of...
Faja.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
So after you get it done, you have to wear a faja to kind of like compress the body, keep everything in its place, and like, you know, support where they've put everything. So that would be for, I think you wear it for 4 months, if I'm correct. You wear it for a long time though, under the clothes.
What's the pain like? Like, what's the threshold? Like, are you in pain, constant pain?
Well, you have painkillers, but if you are unlucky enough to like miss a timing and to face that pain, it's an indescribable pain. I wouldn't wish it on my enemy. It's like you've been hit by a truck, literally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And then I heard massages are really important. What is that for? Is that just to make sure that the blood is circulating in the right direction, or?
It's to drain certain areas that didn't get drained during the surgery, and it's to also help shape you more, because certain areas get like hard fat, and you need to massage it in order to soften it up, so it's like your stomach is flat. I didn't really participate in many of those because, I'm sorry, it's £100 each. And I just thought, let God do what he needs to do with this. I'm sorry. I've already got
leave it in his
done.
hands, yeah?
Yes. Basically.
Fair enough. So you've had the procedure, you're in recovery, you're getting to a point where you're, you know, feeling back to your normal self. What was the reaction of people post-surgery, like online or just in general? What was your reaction?
And a reaction I could never like anticipate. It was like, for my friends, they were kind of like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought, because there's some people I spoke to, especially my guy friends, they're like, you look crazy, like, why would you do that? When I done it, they were like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. Certain people will be like, like, is there something different here? But the worst was like the online stuff. The stuff I faced online was crazy. It was like fake account after fake account with pictures of my body next to like Kim Kardashian's body, and they're like, oh, this girl done a bum surgery, her bum is sagging. It was like, I don't know, maybe because it was so taboo around the time, it was like a lot of people were like pressing like, what's this? Your legs don't match this. What's happening? Da, 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 da. People were just very in my business. I don't know what it is about that particular surgery, but it makes people feel like, you need to tell us what you've done here.
Yeah.
It's not really like that with breasts, but with that it was. And I had a lot of like negativity from people, even to this day when I started to speak on it. It was just like a lot of people like, oh, well, she used to lie. Why is she coming out? I never used to lie. I just never thought, no one is entitled to my body, my business, things I put my money down for.
Definitely.
So because I don't speak on something, they assume that, oh, I said it's not. I don't know. It's just an uncomfortable topic to speak on because it's like people just feel like you should have told us then. It's like they're my parents. It's very weird. Yeah.
How did you deal with that mentally though? Because like physically you're still in recovery, right? And then for mentally to have all of that negative abuse thrown at you, that must have been hard.
Yeah, but do you know what? When you're like a surgery girl, I would say surgery girl, because it's like when you're in that little world, when people were telling me your legs are too skinny for your bum, I was thinking, okay, good. Like, my bum's looking good then. Like, I was kind of like, it really didn't mean much to me. I'm not one of those people that it's like, if you say stuff about me online, I take it in too much. I'm not one of those people. So it was just like, okay, they've noticed a difference. It must be good then. That's how I saw it until like I'm having a bad day. And then I started to despise it. Then I was just like, oh, maybe they're right.
That's crazy. What's funny in that, again, watching one of your episodes, you were saying that some people was like, we don't even know why you done it in the first place because you already had a big bum. So like,
yeah. I always had a very big bum. Like, this conversation is very weird. Like, I hate going here because it just seems like I'm just like, guys, I didn't need it. No, but literally, I remember in school, I used to get teased for like having a very big bum. And I used to say to my big sister, when I'm older, I'm going to get my bum done and like get rid of it. So it's funny how life turned out. But yeah, I just always had shape. I always had a big bum. Even before my surgery, the surgeons were like, I don't even know why you're really doing this. But it's more, you know, food on their plate.
Yeah, exactly. The role of the doctor, because we almost skipped over that, right? And I feel like the role of the doctor is really important because they're the ones that can really almost sort of filter that, all right, cool, you need it, like, or you don't need it. But do you feel they like try and move you towards that direction to actually get it? So it's a business, right?
Right.
But that the role of the doctor is very important in my opinion.
100%. It is, and it is a business. Certain ones, the rare ones, may be a little bit honest with you, but at the end of the day, they're here to make money. Like when I went to when it was the day of my BBL surgery, my surgeon said to me, oh, he looked at my chest and he was like, oh, have you had kids?
Whoa.
That's when I went to go and get my breasts done. Yep. He inspired that. That was by him. Yeah, literally. It's just like, I don't know if it's like I'm here to make money or it's like because their role is to critique you. Their role is to be like, okay, well, this don't look perfect because in their eyes, perfect is like surgically enhanced. So if you want this enhanced, then why are you not looking at this? It's kind of like that. So I can't blame them.
Yeah.
But, you know, certain people will feel some type of way about it. I do get it.
How do you even know, like, there's good doctors, right? I mean, I suppose if you're going into that realm, you don't really know, like, you know, if that person's good or, like, did you have any guidance on, all right, this is a good doctor, you should see that person or?
No, I didn't.
Just...
It was different when I done my breast. When I done my breast, I was kind of interested in, like, who's good. But before, I just was too immature to care. Like, is he gonna do my bum or not? That's kind of what was my mind. Is he gonna do my bum? Okay, great. It wasn't any of that. I don't think some people don't think about that. To them, a good doctor is someone that hasn't killed people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a good doctor varies depending on what you want. Natural doctor, he's a good doctor. Oh, he makes people's bums look huge. He's a good doctor. It just depends on you.
No, makes sense. Makes sense. No, I originally came across a clip or I introduced to your profile because of the clip of you actually talking on your surgery.
Right. No, it was the complete opposite. So I always say this to anyone that comes to me with, oh, I want to get surgery, oh, I want to do this. Be prepared to hyper-focus on all of your insecurities times 1,000. So after I was in my honeymoon phase of enjoying something new, like a new change in my body, the come down happens. This happens with every surgery. Every surgery you'll do, you'll be happy for a few months because there's a change. And then you start to think about all the things that you don't like about it. In my case, it wasn't perky enough, it wasn't round enough, it wasn't big enough. Some days it wasn't small enough. Nothing was enough. And also my character trait became how big my bum was.
One of the things that you said was like, I don't feel at peace. And so just taking a step back in terms of when you got the surgery, what did you think you was going to feel? And then how did you actually feel once the surgery was done?
I felt like I would feel a bit like more confident in myself. Like maybe I'll know who I am now. Okay, maybe this is who I'm gonna be. Like the girl that's like has a big bum that takes pictures. Like maybe I'll be like a Lever Galore or those video models. Maybe that's me. Like in my mind at that time, I thought who you are is like who you create yourself to be. So I thought, okay, I'm taking steps to be who I want to be, not knowing that there's no amount of like external difference that's gonna change the fact that I don't know who I am. So when I had it and I was receiving that sort of attention, I was still feeling some type of way because I'm thinking, excuse me, who are you talking to? Like, I'm not a video girl. But I'm thinking, this is who you presented yourself to be.
Yeah.
So it wasn't peaceful for me because I realized it was more of an internal thing. I needed to learn to be comfortable regardless.
And a lot of women have insecurities,
Right.
and have turned to this procedure to sort of fix those insecurities. But again, going on what you said, you was like, it's not going to fix, you was pointing to your head, like you're mental. Do you know what I mean? And like, just talk on that, because I feel like it's important to get the message across that, especially in this social media era, that like, it's not going to fix any internal issues that you had, regardless of if you get a BBL, breast implants, whatever it is. Like, what's your view on that? Because a lot of girls are thinking that, you know, if I get a BBL, I'm Jada Wader, I'm Lyrical Law, I'm rolling through the clubs getting my 10, 20,000 pound appearance fees, you know, crazy social media. So like, what do you feel when you see that type of like lady online or social media?
When I see it, I relate to it and I feel sad for them because I know I was in that place once where it was like I was desperately trying to figure out who I am. Do I make myself who I am, or am I just who I am? And I'm a Christian, so I believe God has made everyone differently, and there's so many talents that I have that another person won't have, and they have that I don't have. Like even my best friend, I look at her and I think there's so much stuff she has that I wish I had, but it makes her her, and we're very different people. And once you start harnessing in what you're good at, you become that person. That's when people admire you. You're admired for being you. There's a lot of celebrities out there that people look up to and they're like, how do I become this? That person became that because they decided to work in what they're good at. So when you work in your talent, in the things that you have strengths in, that's when you start to realize, okay, wow, this is me. You start to nurture yourself, and then you start to get on the journey of who you are. A lot of us look at people and think, oh, let me try and be that so I can be admired like them. It will never work because you're not them. You're not Jada Wader, you're not Kim K. As much as you try to, as influential as they are, they all have been given that for a reason. That's them. So I just would urge younger women to kind of look within themselves and be like, who actually am I? Like, what am I good at? What makes me different to the next person? I'm not against surgery, and I say this again and again because I promise you, if I must, I may be there again. But the point is, I have to go. I've done breast surgery, so I have to go there every 10 years.
Right.
So I've committed to something that is way bigger than me. But the point is if you want to get surgery, make sure it's for something that makes sense. Don't let that surgery make or break who you are. It's never going to work that way. It's just not.
Yeah. And it must be tiring trying to be someone else all the time, right?
It's exhausting.
It's mad. I mean, touching back on yourself, are you at the point where you regret it?
I do regret it. A lot of people, I was saying it earlier to my friend that I think a lot of people think I'm pretending I regret it because I get attention from it. But when you start to value certain aspects of life that are like genuine, I promise you, you're not gonna want it, because sexual attention doesn't equate to people genuinely valuing you or wanting you around. You're just a good time girl. You're just the girl that is a trend girl. when that trend goes, your BBL is not getting on the VIP table. These guys are not going to want to walk around with you. You're not cool anymore. So if you start living in trends, there's just no more identity for you. So I would say that's the reason I regret it. I just feel like I opened a door to things that I don't necessarily relate to or I want.
Interested in.
Yeah, I'm just not interested in it.
Yeah, it makes sense. And you know what? I admire you because it's not a topic that people that have had surgery like you have talk about.
Thank you.
And you know, I think it's important information because it's getting to the point where like you're seeing BBLs as much as you're seeing people wearing glasses.
Right.
Like it is so common. But what made you want to come out and openly talk about it? Like what sort of pushed you to that point?
I'm someone that I look at the bigger picture. So if I have to speak on something that I feel like it will be to the benefit of others, I will speak on it, regardless of if I'm going to put myself out there and open myself to a lot of critique. I just felt like I see a lot of young girls getting into it, and I'm 19. I was 19 and I done it. I saw a 19-year-old go and do it, and I'm like, this is a baby. Like, why are we do? And it's crazy because that was me. So I was just thinking, let me put this message out there. I haven't heard anyone say this message, so at least people that need to hear it will hear. And if you don't want to hear it, you don't want to hear it. But
no, makes sense. And I'm pretty sure a lot of women are happy that you are putting this message out. So again, I admire you for doing that.
Thank you.
You mentioned male attention, and like post-surgery, I'm assuming that you would have got a lot of male attention. Like, how did guys react to you when you went on dates or had conversations when you told them that you had surgery? What was the sort of reaction?
It was more so, I would say it was, I got a lot more sexual attention after it. It was more so like, okay, you're one of those girls. Okay, cool. I know what sort of girl you are. I feel like when you do these sort of surgeries, you send out a message to people. And I wasn't aware of that. My pastor spoke to me about it before I told him, and he was like, you don't know what message you're going to send out there, but I still went ahead and done it. But it was a message where it was like, oh, okay, you're someone that's just like, okay, a good time. It doesn't show seriousness to a lot of people, unfortunately. So I attracted a lot of unseriousness. I attracted a lot of comments that I would get upset about. And then someone said to me, but why are you upset? Like, you've done this and people are going to react to it. And that's when it clicked. And I was like, oh, okay. So, yep.
Yeah, makes sense. And do you find that hard, right? Because like I said, you're a genuine person, you know, someone that wants to be serious, you know, in a relationship or whatever, and then they're just seeing the outside. Like, do you find that hard when you're having conversations or speaking to guys?
It is hard initially, but I do find when people get to know me a bit more, it is like a bit of an oxymoron for them. So they're like, oh, okay, that's how she is. So at the end of the day, it's in my power. Whatever someone thinks of me, I can dispute all of it when you talk to me. Like, I can dispel all of it. Once you talk to me, it doesn't really mean anything because you're like, oh, okay, I got to know her, and it's like not that. But yeah, it is frustrating, but I have to be accountable.
You get a lot of flack from guys, man. I don't know why. Like, I was going through your comments, like, and I was thinking, like, guys are just. First of all, I don't know why you have the time to even like comment and say, oh, you're this, you're that. But I think there was one video which made me laugh was when you was talking about. I think you was alluding to something like, you know, if guys allow women to pay for anything, like they're dead to you. the guys were onto you. I was like, wow.
Oh.
I was like, wow.
Do you know what it is?
I was like,
yeah, you threw a curveball. I didn't expect that one. But do you know what? I expect that though, because it's like there's ideologies that I believe in that it conflicts with the modern day sort of ideologies. So certain people believe in like a give and take. Like, I don't have to pay for this. And if there's certain things when I come out with them, I seem entitled, or I have a standard for myself. It bothers people, and that's fine. Some people, I blame today's society for how we we get things so cheaply. Because if we didn't get things so cheaply, someone coming out and saying, this is what I expect and this is how it should be, treat people like you value them, that wouldn't be offensive. But in today's society,
Yeah, I mean, you're right. In today's society, but do you know what? I feel like it depends on culture as well, right? I feel like in America, that's very normal for like the guy to pay for everything. Like that's really normal. In the UK, I think it's a bit touchy subject.
But that's what
still.
some people say. But I'm sorry, in this UK, I've never experienced any sort of issue with that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like I said, when it comes to people, I think people gauge people before they speak to them, especially men. And all of this online yappa yappa, it's not really amounting to much in real life, if we're being honest.
We touched on the Kardashians. I think they need to take accountability for what they've done. In my opinion, I think they are a massive part of this BBL trend. Do you think they get enough credit for even starting this trend, or do you disagree? Do you think it's not them?
I do think they get credit for what they do.
Really?
Yeah. Do they not? I see a lot of people that say, oh, the Kardashians started this. But why? Anyway, this is a different conversation, but I don't like that we are always looking for someone to blame for the reasons we go and do things, because I get that the media can influence people. I was influenced by the media. But at the end of the day, we need to be accountable for our own choices, because Kim Kardashian did not put a gun to my head and take me to Harley Street and say, put 8K down or you're no longer fitting it. I made that choice. I get that we can say they inspire people and they influence people, but how do we hold people accountable for that?
I wouldn't say, probably just the influence, right? And me personally, I only came across the term influencer when Kim came around, right? And I generally didn't understand what it was, because what you influencing. But literally, like, there are ladies that are her clones. Like, they look exactly like her. And that's what I mean in terms of like the accountability, right? Because now, as we speak, I think they're trying to, go for a more natural look. I'm not sure if Kim's actually had procedures to remove what she had done, but she looks a lot slimmer than she did. But I think just the accountability around, like, this is a shape that is going to get you into doors, or this is a sort of a persona that's going to get you into doors. That's where I think is accountable. You're right. They didn't hold a gun to your head and say, like, go Harley Street and do what you need to do. But you would have been subconsciously taking that in, whether it's like social media, online, watching them on TV. So that's what I mean about accountability.
I get that, and I've seen that rhetoric. It's just I struggle with that rhetoric, because that means we have to hold so many different people accountable for so many different things, because I don't see this rhetoric with drill music all the time, that we need to constantly hold them accountable. We don't hold rappers accountable for misogyny. Do you get what I mean? And whose fault is it that they are so influential?
It's true.
Whose fault is it? So it's a bit of a hard conversation to have, because we can't really, if we think about it.
Yeah, we can't really, like, yeah, no, that makes sense. And just talk about social media in general. I feel like it's some people are brainwashed by social media, right? And as someone who has had negative attention from social media, at the same time, I'm assuming positive, how do you deal with social media now? Like, do you really tap into it? Do you, like, have breaks from it? How do you deal with it?
I love social media because it lets me express myself, and I'm usually alone a lot, so it allows me to express myself. But in terms of negative attention, I've learned how to navigate away from spaces that I know are spilling degeneracy. And I feel like we're always going to have different communities of people, and we need to allow people to have an opinion. It's important, freedom of speech. But I don't sit down and ever take in or allow myself to absorb negative comments. I don't read comments unless I feel like someone's gonna give me a good critique on my work. I'll read the comment. I don't sit down and read comments because I need to protect myself at the end of the day. And that's just the way I do things. I don't follow blog pages. I just stay, in my corner, so around good people that give me good sound advice, so I don't need to reach out for validation of strangers, because usually it's people are spilling stuff from their emotions. It's venting, it's how they feel about you, it's bias. I don't really want that. I kind of want, like, good sound advice. So that's how I navigate away from it.
Makes sense. Let's talk about some of the very good awareness that you're putting out there, man. Fox News.
Oh, yes.
Fox News. I watched the interview. So, like, that's a big deal. Like, how did that even come about?
The producer contacted me and she was like, I'm interested in your story. I thought she was fake. I'm not gonna lie. I saw it and I was just like, these fake accounts, they're getting good because now you're getting into my work. So I went to do my research on the lady. I watched her page. I went to Google a couple of things and it was making sense. So I sent her an email back because she gave me an email to contact. Mm-hmm. And then she got in contact with me quite swiftly. We had a Zoom meeting and then she was like, yep, I really want you on the show and blah, blah, blah. We had that conversation. I was really, really happy about that. That's such an
you should be. I think it's over 100K now in terms of views.
I couldn't believe it. 100K people.
You're getting
the
awareness
God
out there.
Good.
But that's an amazing thing. So like I said, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And it's not a coincidence that you see so many women that go into this, they end up coming out unrecognizable because they are constantly chasing something. And once you're constantly chasing after a new trend or something new after that high, you lose your own identity completely.
The Insights podcast.
Right.
Talk to me about why you decided to start it. What's the message behind that?
The Insight podcast, I had the Insight show in general on my own particular platform, which is Chantel Sophia, if people want to know, shameless promo. But
plug it. Oh, yeah,
right?
Plug it. Yeah, plug it.
Yeah. For years, like from school, because I studied media, I knew I wanted to get a message out there. I didn't know how. I had a blog page where I just used to write. That actually done quite well. But there was something like, you know, as a creative, when you're like cooking something, you know, there's something you want to get out there. How am I going to do it? And I was never comfortable in front of the camera. So it was not an option for me to be on camera ever. It was never an option. But I had a message to get out that I felt like we were missing within our community. I feel like we live in a very everything's kind of backwards now. Like right is wrong and wrong is right. And if you have an opinion...
No one's allowed to have an opinion.
No one's allowed to have an opinion. It's very much silenced. Like people that want to be decent are kind of scrutinized more than people that want to live young, wild and free. And I felt like we lack structure within our community. Within myself, I felt like I lacked structure and I went on my own journey to kind of piece together how I want my life to look like because I felt like the youth and even people that are older are living in regret. They get to a certain age, they look back, their life has gone like that and they haven't achieved anything. I kind of wanted better for my community. I wanted better for the world, to be honest. So I felt like, how am I gonna get out a message where we talk about everyday things that we go through and I give like a sound, rhetoric that someone can lean on that rather than getting it from your friends that may tell you, do that, you can see a different side, a different perspective that then you can make your decision. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything, but it's like, I'm not seeing this message nowhere. So that's why I come out with the Insight. Then it got picked up by a bigger platform. And then I went into the podcast, which was a bit more freeing for me because I could sit down and have the conversation. My one was kind of like a documentary style. Yeah. But yeah, that's how.
Yeah, man. And it's important for me anyway, just to put the information out there. And with what people want to do with that information,
it's
fair enough. But it's out there in the first place. You know what I mean? But where can people find the Insights podcast? Where can people follow you? Plug that, because
Okay, you can find the Insight podcast on the Selects channel on YouTube. Right there, you see me right there. Or you can find my little docu Insight on Chantel Sophia on YouTube.
Cool. Go and check that out. Thanks a lot for being so open. If there was a final message to young girls out there, dads with daughters, parents with daughters, obviously, but just people that may be considering getting a BBL, what would be your final message?
My message would be kind of dig deeper as to why you want to do certain things before you do them. I'm not forcing anyone to not do anything. I want everyone to kind of look inside themselves and feel like, and ask themselves why before they do things. What are you trying to achieve? Life is not ordinary and it's not superficial. There's a lot of stuff under things. So we need to find out the reasons why we do things in order to get adequate results. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you need this. It just depends on who you are, what's your reasoning, how you go about things, and extend understanding to yourself, extend understanding to your peers that want to do them. Not everyone is doing it for this attention, not everyone is doing it for that. Some people are just trying to figure things out. So I just want everyone to kind of dig deeper, figure themselves out.
Well, Chantel, thank you.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me.
What's next for you? Tell people about your upcoming plans. Huh?
What's next for me is I'll be doing more of my show. I have a lot of special guests coming, people that people know that are going to spread a great message and give good perspectives. I have a lot of more creative stuff that I'm trying to dabble into. That's why I'm kind of like a bit more slow with my work, but there's a lot of stuff to come, a lot of conversations that we're going to be having, and a lot more perspectives. So
well,
yeah.
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
So, well, congratulations on all your
Thank you
success
so
moving
much.
forward, and yeah, look forward to the journey.
Thank you for having me.